I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I just take Paxil, Xanax, Zoloft, Flomax, morphine, Valtrex, Flonase, Plavix, codeine, Zyrtec, Zoma, Zantac, Ultram, Zocor, Zipro, Prozac, dopamine, Demerol, Lexapro, Tylenol, Vicodin, Lyrica, Lipitor, and Adderall, but I don't do no drugs, man.
Everyone, it's Dr. Beard again. Of course, Paul is here with me, my sidekick and partner in crime. And we're going to have another episode that's included in our fundamental series. This one is about micronutrients. We've talked about macronutrients. You may have gotten to those podcasts yet, I don't know. But the micros just as important as the macros. So what are these micros?
You tell.
So micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals your body needs in order to carry out all these cellular functions involving the immune system, your detoxification processes, mitochondrial function, hormonal production and balance, cardiovascular function, cognitive performance, muscle and connective tissue growth and maintenance, blood clotting and clot resolution, you name it, micronutrients are involved. You have to have them. And they must be present in the appropriate amounts and balance. Balance is everything when it comes to micronutrients.
I know it seems like everyone thinks
More is better, especially when, there's some type of cold or virus going around. Everybody starts loading up on zinc, just zinc. Yeah, and zinc can help with the immune response, but can also throw other things out of balance.
Especially copper.
Copper and zinc need to be at appropriate balances, and so do a lot of other nutrients.
It's funny that the farmers seem to get this better than the people.
Like calcium and magnesium, there needs to be a balance there.
Exactly. All the mineral mixes we use for cattle and goats, it's very specific because farmers know very well if you get the calcium magnesium out of whack, the performance of the animals is really declines. Right. But in humans, we don't seem to get that. Everyone's taking calcium supplements or this supplement, and everything, like you said, everything has to be in balance.
Right. And then, our bodies make certain vitamins, but often not enough to meet our bodily demands. So we must consume them and consume them regularly, especially the water-soluble vitamins and minerals. And, the need for the micronutrients depends on, age, sex, activity levels, the levels of stress you're under, and whether or not you're using certain medications or if you're being exposed to certain toxins on a regular basis. This is going to alter your needs. And so you have to take that into consideration. Most of your micronutrients are absorbed in your small intestine. That's where the magic occurs. That's where most of them are being absorbed. So you want to make sure that the gut is functioning properly.
If not, they won't be uptaken.
That's right. If there's a lot of inflammation in the gut, you're not going to be absorbing these micronutrients, even though you're eating them. And that leads me to my next point that was written on my paper. Appropriate digestion is needed for appropriate absorption. You cannot use what you do not absorb.
So it's kind of a double threat. That's why our micronutrients are so deficient now, because the amount of the nutrients in the food has declined in the last 50 years.
Oh, significantly.
And the apple of 50 years ago had more nutrients than it does today. So you can go down the list: broccoli, cauliflower.
And I read a statistic about oranges have 50% less vitamin C than they did, 50 years ago.
Well, they're being selected.
But I have a lot more sugar.
Yes, they've been selectively bred for certain traits that are not in our best interest.
Right.
It, again, goes back to shelf life, sweetness,
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily for the micronutrients. And combine that with most people's digestive tracts are not functioning properly. Right. There's no reason, there's no wonder that a lot of people have micronutrient deficiencies.
I know. So let's talk about vitamins for a second. So there's, you have your fat soluble vitamins and you have water soluble vitamins. And the fat soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. And these vitamins are actually stored in fat tissue in the liver. And you can become toxic with these if you're, eating. It's hard to eat too much of this stuff, but if you're supplementing, you can over supplement and really get too much of this. And I've seen especially this with vitamin D. Everybody's taking vitamin D supplements, and they're getting quite toxic on it.
Yeah, short term you can push it, but long term you cannot sustain that. I think
And there's appropriate time, I think, for supplementing, but there's no supplementing the sun when it comes to vitamin D. And so again, these vitamins are stored in your fat tissue, so they can accumulate, and they can be stored in sufficient amounts up to 6 months before needing to consume them again. Now, that is for optimal function. Okay, that is to prevent any symptoms from occurring. That's what the RDA levels are based on. It's just the minimal amounts to prevent disease, not the amounts you need to thrive.
Right. I think also to point out that a lot of the supplement companies, they always add a few things just to make it look more important. But then if you're taking a multivitamin plus some other supplements, you really need to read the labels, because if they're adding vitamin A or any of these fat soluble to other supplements, all of a sudden you're over supplementing, you're not realizing it.
Yeah. I
wish they wouldn't do that, but they do. They always throw in a little, just a
especially with some of the B vitamins, which you too can get toxic on. We'll talk about that in a second. Vitamin K, of course, it's made in the colon by bacteria that reside there. So again, you got to have really, make sure that GI tract is working as it should, so you can make the vitamin K like you should.
And that's important to take up D, right?
Vitamin K2 is what we recommend when you're taking vitamin D,
to make it more assimilate.
So that it assimilates better.
Okay.
Yes. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. It got labeled as a vitamin, but it's actually a hormone, and it is made in the skin when it's exposed to sunlight. And cholesterol, that evil cholesterol, is an important part of this process.
Right.
You have to have the cholesterol present to convert, make the vitamin D when the sun hits your skin.
So if you're statin crazy, you're going to have trouble having your vitamin D levels.
Yeah, you could.
So you have low testosterone,
even though you're outside,
It sounds like a wonderful drug.
I know. Of course, sources, we know this: vegetables, fish and animal proteins, organ meats, eggs, nuts, and some grains. Vitamin A is actually synthesized from its precursor beta carotene. And I've seen people who eat a lot of carrots and sweet potatoes, and they would text me like, "Dr. Beard, my palms are orange." And I'm like, okay. I said, and the first thing I do is, "Have you been eating a lot of sweet potatoes or carrots?" Like, "Yes, I have them every day." I'm like, that's what it is. It's just you're eating probably excessive amounts. You're getting excessive amounts of vitamin A or beta carotene.
That's why we always say variety in everything.
Yeah. The water-soluble vitamins, there's a total of 9 B vitamins and vitamin C. These are water-soluble, so they don't tend to accumulate, and you need to eat them on a regular basis. And so the sources of those, again, vegetables, fruits, animal proteins, organ meats, seafood, grains, eggs, dairy products, and beans and peas. And so vitamin C can actually be synthesized by some species, but not by others. And then vitamin 12 is the only vitamin that is not available from plant sources. Okay, you cannot get it from a plant. B12 it comes from animal sources. And then, so you just have to keep this in mind. Water-soluble vitamins, they need to be consumed on a regular basis. Fat-soluble vitamins, you need them, but just realize that, you can become toxic, especially through supplementation. That's how it typically occurs. And I've actually seen people be toxic with B12 and B6, because those are the ones that they always like to add to the supplements. It's like every supplement is going to have B6 in it, B12 in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and if you're taking multiple supplements, you can get toxic on this stuff. So that was the vitamin component. Minerals are elements that are found on the earth and in the foods, because the foods we eat uptake the minerals. That's how God designed it.
It goes back to you are what you eat eats. Well, it goes with the plant. If the plant's eating a good soil, it's going to give you good nutrients. That's one of the reasons the nutrients in addition to selective breeding for the bad traits, our soil's depleted, so it's not uptaking as much of the good nutrients.
And it really does depend on the composition of the soil. I know everybody thinks that Brazil nuts just naturally have a lot of selenium in them, but that's not the case. It really depends on where they're grown.
Mm-hmm.
Brazil, I guess, actually has a lot of selenium in their soil, and perhaps that's where that.
And the plant is particularly adept at taking up that mineral.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like cilantro is a good plant to eat to help naturally detox heavy metals from your body.
Mm-hmm.
But if that cilantro is grown in soil with heavy metals, guess what?
It uptakes
them. So, and the problem is
then you eat it.
Well, the problem with a lot of potting soil, it comes from riverbanks. Riverbanks are notoriously contaminated because of they're the toilet of the industrial age.
Right.
So cadmium, mercury, selenium, everything, lead. So you have to be if you use a potting soil, make sure it's a good organic soil, and hopefully it has an analysis. They've done a testing on it, because your plant is eating the soil. It's uptaking. Now, not all plants are as good as uptaking metals like a cilantro, but that's just a good example. So is the Brazil nuts.
And I was at a functional medicine conference a few years ago, and there was a case of a family who was all presenting with these weird symptoms, and they tested them, and they were all toxic in lead. And they were like, first of all, where are you guys getting this? They had grown a garden in their backyard, and at one point that garden had been in an industrial area of their city. I forget what type of plant or whatever was there, but it had a lot of lead that had leached into the ground and into the soil. Mm-hmm. And what they were growing was uptaking that, and they were trying to do the right thing, mm-hmm. but their soil was contaminated with lead. I mean, that was crazy. So there are two classifications of minerals. There are macro and trace minerals. Okay, macro minerals are your calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, chloride, magnesium, and sulfur. Those are the macros. And macro minerals are needed in larger amounts than the trace minerals, but this doesn't mean they're more important. Okay, it just means you need more of them on a regular basis.
Folks, if you hear something in the background, we're in a drought in Arkansas, but every time we do a podcast, it rains. So that's what you hear, a little noise in the back. So we're going to keep doing it and bring our rain in.
No kidding.
You mentioned the macronutrients with calcium and magnesium. Again, I'll go back to the farming, because being a farmer, I like running back to that. But they know the calcium magnesium ratio is so important for the health of the animal. Yet, look at humans, everyone's trying to get more and more calcium, and they think that drives the osteoporosis.
Well, because they think, you've got osteoporosis, you need more calcium. That is one component of bone. There are so many other minerals involved that make up bone, and osteoporosis is more of an inflammatory condition than it is a calcium deficiency. And so people are taking all these calcium supplements, and the calcium's ending up in their joints, and now they're having arthritic pain, And
now they're taking NSAID
and now they're taking an NSAID to deal with their knee pain, and now now they're having more stuff show up because of what the NSAID does to your gut health. And there's a lot of bad information out there.
Absolutely.
So the trace minerals are iron, manganese, copper, iodine, zinc, cobalt, fluoride, not the kind in your municipal water. That's a waste-derived fluoride. Okay, fluoride occurs naturally in the earth, and selenium. Minerals represent about 4 to 5% of total body weight, and 50% of this weight is calcium, which is in your bones, mm-hmm. right? And your body will likes to maintain the proper calcium phosphorus ratio. So it will pull calcium out when phosphorus is too high, or it will drive it back into your bones when phosphorus is low. And so that's how your body regulates itself.
Regulates blood pH.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just one component of how it regulates body pH. There's many ways the body likes to try to stay in homeostasis. Yeah. The body is so amazing at trying to just keep and maintain balance. And it will, if you give it what it needs, it will do it.
And if you're going to take a calcium supplement, make sure it's one that is balanced with magnesium.
Right.
It's a 2-to-1 ratio.
And just
Calcium.
make sure you even need it to begin with.
Right.
You know, we would always prefer that you get your nutrients from food. That is the preferred source, is to get them through real food. But we have issues. We have the issue of the soil content is depleted. The nutrients aren't there in their foods like they used to be. And then you add on top of that all the stress we have, all the toxins that we get exposed to on a regular basis.
Gut dysbiosis.
The gut dysbiosis. And now it's like we have to have more of these, and it's hard to eat as much as your body needs to deal with all these environmental problems that are facing your body.
And just like the fat-soluble vitamins, the micro minerals, you can really get in trouble with those. If too much selenium, too much any of those,
Right.
copper,
Right.
you just need just a tiny amount. You need what you need and nothing more.
Right. And then, of course, the functions of minerals, they are involved in a wide array of bodily functions, just like the vitamins. So, again, name it, and minerals are involved, especially since minerals are involved in making enzymes and hormones. Okay. Everybody likes to focus on the macros, the protein, the carbs, and the fat. But they just don't even think about the minerals and the vitamins and the micronutrients.
And you can't use those macros without
And
the
you
micros.
can't make the macros do what they need to do without the micros being present.
And if you have too much of one thing, it derails the whole
It's
system.
going to cause other problems.
So more is not better, folks. The balance is better.
Right. And so, like fats, protein, and carbs, vitamins and minerals are of utmost importance to the body. Okay. Yeah. That just don't act like they're, this just little thing that's good if I get it. It's okay if I don't. Many are so hyper focused on the macros that they forget this. Proper digestion is absolutely necessary for you to absorb the nutrients. Anything that impacts the function of the GI tract and the GI microbiome and then the digestive organs will also impact the absorption of vitamins and minerals, as well as the production of those that the body makes. So medications, the microbes that inhabit your gut, those could be out of balance for multiple reasons, like candida overgrowth. That is a form of microbial imbalance. Yeast are growing out of control. SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, again, another form of gut dysbiosis or imbalance of the gut microbiome. There's a lot of bacteria that are growing in the small intestine that shouldn't be growing in those amounts, or some may have migrated from the colon into the upper intestine where they don't need to be. So SIBO encompasses a lot of different things and causes a lot of problems. If you're missing organs, especially the digestive organs, like your gallbladder, they just like taking those things out. You don't even need it. Yes, you do. And I know sometimes that, if you have cholecystitis and your gallbladders are about to burst, it's got to come out, But a lot of times gallbladders are being taken out really quickly without any thought as to why the gallbladder isn't functioning like it should. And when people tell me, the doctor wants to take my gallbladder out, I'm like, well, why? Well, they say it's not functioning.
It's
right.
sluggish.
It's sluggish. I'm like, okay, well, why is it sluggish? And I will tell you right now, it's typically inflammation and gut dysbiosis is the main driver of gallbladder, the poor functioning gallbladder. And if you have had your gallbladder taken out, I know they like to tell you you need to eat low fat. Well, that's not a winning strategy either, because you have to have fat. So often we will have our patients take something called ox bile with their meals to assist to basically take the place of what bile would do if you were eating. And that has helped a lot of our patients. And you can take ox bile, or you can take things that stimulate bile.
Like bitters. There's something called Swedish bitters.
Bitters, even greens and stuff that are bitter tasting can stimulate bile production.
That's why a lot of aperitifs that you might drink pre-dinner, that's what they are. Yeah. They're bitters that stimulate it. Because when your gallbladder is gone, you're still producing bile. The gallbladder was the storage system. So it stores it in there, and then it can give a bolus to the gut when it needs it. So now it has to, if you either stimulate the production or you supplement the production depending on the fat meal. Like you said, low fat is not a winning strategy.
No, not at all. And then, of course, other things that can affect your absorption are, stomach surgeries or, gastric sleeves, and people. It's just that does a number on the GI tract. There are ways you can mitigate the negative impacts of what that's done to your body. And we have had a lot of success at helping these people, but most of the ones that we have seen who have had these surgeries will tell you they regret it. They gained all their weight back, and now they have a whole host of other problems. Mm-hmm. And so I am just not a fan of that. Of course, improper stomach acid levels can do this, and a lack of digestive enzymes. And there's a lot of things that can cause that. Magnesium is the most common mineral deficiency due to lack of proper intake of fresh fruits and vegetables, because that's your best source of magnesium. And increased stress. You're under chronic stress, you're not sleeping, burning the candle at both ends. You need more magnesium. And that means you either need to start increasing your intake of fresh fruits and vegetables. You can supplement with magnesium or magnesium baths.
Yeah, Epsom salts. That's very cheap. And an Epsom salt bath is a great way of delivering magnesium to your body without giving you diarrhea. A lot of times people take magnesium supplements.
It'll have citrate in there. Well, that's the one we use when people are constipated.
And there are different forms. There's lots of different
forms of magnesium.
And there's even forms of magnesium citrate that don't stimulate the bowel movement. So there are ways of getting magnesium orally that will supplement. Right. But a good one is also just the Epsom salts. It's cheap. It also helps with just general detoxing because it's good to get it.
Makes your skin feel really good too. If you've ever taken an Epsom salt bath, your skin is just so soft when you come out of there. And it's very relaxing. And a lot of people will take them before they go to bed. But, they sleep better when they've had an Epsom salt bath.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you don't have a tub, you can always soak your feet in it too. You can uptake it through your feet. And so, supplementation, we get questions about supplements all the time. What supplement can I take for my high blood pressure? What supplement can I take for my pain or my headaches? And I'm like, well, first of all, what's causing this? Mm-hmm. There are no magic supplements. You need to really sit down and think about what is actually driving these issues. Typically, it's not just one nutrient deficiency that's doing that. Supplementation is often necessary in today's modern times.
Right. You cannot supplement yourself to good health.
You will never supplement do I take supplements? Yes, I take our multivitamin. I typically take half the dose. I take my omega-3s. I'll take vitamin D in the wintertime when I'm all covered up, not really getting the sun exposure on my skin. And sometimes when my gut is off due to my, I had a colectomy several years ago, a partial colectomy. So it's really impacted my GI tract, but I've learned how to mitigate the effects of that rather well. And so sometimes I'll have to take a spore-based probiotic for that.
And sometimes enzymes.
And digestive enzymes when things really get off track, or if I've been stressed, and it always affects my gut health. Stress does, because it affects the motility and the way that your digestive enzymes are able to work. And so taking digestive enzymes before my meals has really helped me get back on track. And then I have to address my stress. Like, why did you let it? What are you worried about? How did this happen? Always peeling back the layers of the onion, getting to the root cause.
Yeah, remember, functional medicine has got to get to the root cause. Supplements is just a tool to use.
And they have helped. I've seen them help many people to, sometimes we've just got to get these nutrients into your body so that your body will start functioning. So it can really kickstart things off, but our goal is to always get you on the minimal amount that you need to sustain optimal health, where you feel like, this helps me feel good. I'm at the level I think I need to be.
And not trying to supplement around.
And it's okay to just take breaks from them, Take a break. Did you even notice anything by not taking that supplement?
I think taking breaks is good a lot of times because people keep on adding.
I know. And then they're like, they have no idea what's going on. And a lot of times I will just tell everybody, just stop it. Okay. And we're going to add one back at a time and see how you do for a week or two. And then we'll see if you still have other symptoms. We'll see what else might need to be added, but we're always also going to be looking at your lifestyle and what is going on there that could be contributing to your symptoms as well. And of course, there's ways to test for nutrient levels, a lot of different ways that I have found to be very valuable. But please do not over supplement. The list of supplements I see people take, I'm like, how do you even have an appetite?
And we sell supplements.
And we sell them. And I've vetted them, and they're ones that I have seen help many, many people. That's why we continue to offer them. They've helped me, and they've helped my patients. But again, I don't want you taking them unless you absolutely need to.
I don't want you taking them to supplement around bad behavior.
They're not they're not a replacement for bad behavior. And so there's a lot of redundancy in supplements. We've mentioned this with the B vitamins especially. And so you really got to be careful. And supplementation wouldn't be necessary if people just get outside more. One, if you get outside more, there's you won't need the vitamin D supplement. Okay. And the sun is so medicinal in many, many other ways. It's doing so many other things besides helping your body make vitamin D. And people just don't get that. The sun is truly medicinal. You need to be out there. You got to manage your stress better, or figure out why you're having so much stress to begin with. Get adequate restorative sleep. Make sleep a priority, and do not let anything get in the way of getting it. Make sure your sleep hygiene is like it should. Okay, a lot of people have terrible sleep hygiene these days. They're scrolling on their social media with the blue light right in front of their face, and they're wondering why they can't go to sleep. And then, of course, make sure that you are not exposing your body to a lot of toxins in your house, whether it's through your bath and beauty products, your home cleaning products, your pet products, your gardening products. I mean, there's so many toxins in a lot of these things, and there's a lot of natural alternatives today that do the job just fine. And then, of course, eat high quality food. Quality matters. The better the quality, the more nutrients that food is going to have in it. And of course, try your best to avoid pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals increase your need for nutrients. They block a lot of pathways. You can't utilize the nutrients that you're using, that you're even eating. You can't even use them appropriately. And they just really increase your body's demands for nutrients. So if you're on, and I know some of you are probably taking pharmaceuticals, but work real hard to get off of those.
Work with a functional medicine doctor.
Work with a functional medicine doctor to address the root cause of those symptoms that you're using that pharmaceutical for, because pharmaceuticals never ever address the root cause. They just mask the symptoms, and then they cause a whole lot of other problems. And then that requires more pharmaceuticals, right? And then balance is everything. Certain deficiencies will impact the body's ability to maintain levels of other micronutrients. Low potassium levels, for instance, are often the result of low magnesium levels. And the same thing occurs with the salt. Everybody's afraid of salt now because of that research that was done. Pritikin, he was an engineer, did this research showing that salt was just causing all these problems. And I was a medical director at a cardiac rehab facility that used the Pritikin diet. And I would just cringe because all these older people they're just terrified of salt, and, having low blood pressures. And of course I saw it in the ER too. And the elderly people come in there on all their blood pressure meds and not eating salt. And then
it's just a small percentage of people who have a problem with salt, like less than 5%.
Yeah. And it could be just a genetic polymorphism, or what I find is those who are, quote, salt sensitive are really those who are low in potassium and magnesium. They have potassium and magnesium deficiencies. So if you correct that, then you don't tend to be so salt sensitive anymore.
I know when I was in high school, long time ago, that I wasn't going to pass my physical for track because of my high blood pressure. So my mom put me on a low sodium diet for 9 months. It was miserable. Didn't budget. And then finally realized I had white coat hypertension, which means
so many people do.
I'd go to the doctor, they'd take it. I got all worked up when they were going to take it, and they would skyrocket. And then when I was normal, so mom started taking it when I was relaxed. Lo and behold, it was good. Yeah. But 9 months of low salt, it absolutely didn't budget. It was a complete waste of money and time because of bad information like Pritikin. You met him, didn't you? The guy.
No, I didn't meet him. I went to his training that I was required to go to down in, it was a training in Miami at one of his clinics.
But I thought someone announced famously, like, I'm proud to say we've not changed the program in 30 years or something like that.
I can't remember who said that, but I was like, I'm sorry, but
everything's changed.
Everything's changed. You need to probably.
Margarine's bad.
Yeah.
Fat's good.
And they made me eat that diet while I was there. And there were other doctors that were there too, because they had cardiac rehab facilities at their hospital. So they had to do the training. And I didn't, but they were sneaking off and getting out and going to a restaurant to get real food and bringing it back, because it was just so. Yes, it was all, healthy food, but the lack of seasoning was just, it was just.
And in fairness to the program, there are a lot of aspects to the program that are really good.
Yeah, because it got people to focus on eating real food
and exercising.
And exercising. I'm a big fan of that.
So really, it was the low salt, low fat.
Yeah, there were some things there that just were wrong.
And if they would have changed,
flat out wrong.
Yeah, add the salt and the fat back, and it'd probably been a great program.
Yes. And they were using, they didn't want to, you couldn't eat real raw sugar. So I was going over to the hotel side, finding some real raw, cane sugar, because I needed it a little bit in my coffee. And so, I still remember one of my dietetics professor's insights about trace minerals. This is a good one. She said, trace minerals are a lot like marital sex. A little goes a long way, and if it's missing, problems will arise. I thought, that is a great way to put that. Good for you. Again, that concludes the episode for our micronutrients. Hope you learned something. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, people. This topic, you could write books on it.
Mm-hmm.
On everything that we're doing. We're just, touching the tip of the iceberg.
Well, the good news,
but we're trying to give you the down low.
Yeah, the good news is
basics.
The fundamentals. If you'll do just the fundamentals,
right,
you'll have so much success.
It's not rocket science.
No.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And I hope you're enjoying them.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I don't do no drugs, man. I don't do no drugs, man.